After staying fused for over 3 years, Boruto has now adapted the personality of his inner demon, and he might be planning the worst betrayal plan in Otsutsuki history. The whole Ishhiki getting backstabbed thing would look like a child's play when compared to what Boruto has been cooking for Momoshiki. In chapter 25, he offered him the control of his body in case they succeed at defeating Jura. But at the same time, flashforward shows us Boruto using the karma fearlessly, as if Momoshiki never existed, and even Kawaki doesn't want to kill him anymore. So it's either that the Otsutsuki wasn't successful at killing Jura, that's why Boruto never allowed him the control of his body, or he simply snitched on him by getting rid of him in the most unexpected way. Now there are a number of reasons for me to believe this, and I will count them all in this video. From the secret scheme of Kawaki to a soul cleansing strategy, Boruto's surprise for Momoshiki would be the perfect revenge for ruining his life. But this deal with the devil could also backfire, as there is a chance for both of them to betray each other, and by the end of this video, you will find out exactly what would go down. Betrayal has been a core theme of Kishimoto's story from the very beginning. I would even say that the whole reason behind the sequel to even exist was also possible because of a plot twist which involved disloyalty. Madara Uchiha believed that Black Zetsu was a manifestation of his own will, who was helping him to achieve his dreams and goals. This belief stemmed from Black Zetsu's deceptive loyalty and manipulation, after he posed as Madara's trusted ally, aiding him in his schemes to revive the Ten Tails just to cause the infinite Tsukuyomi. However, this was revealed to be a misconception in Naruto chapter 681, where Black Zetsu was revealed to be a creation of Kaguya Otsutsuki and not Madara. He was an incarnate of Kaguya's will, who was manipulating Madara and the others over centuries to orchestrate the resurrection of the Otsutsuki. Madara only learned the truth when Black Zetsu betrayed him, using his body as a vessel to revive Kaguya after Madara became the Ten Tails Jinchuriki. So technically speaking, this betrayal plot twist was vital to introduce the Otsutsukis as well as the divine backstory of the shinobi world, without which the story of Boruto would have never existed. But this tradition of backstabbing doesn't stop here, as we got to know that Zetsu's manipulation and art of betrayal was literally a trait of Kaguya Otsutsuki herself, who had once done the same to Ishhiki back in the day. While the true reasons are pretty much a mystery, but we can assume that either she did this after she had gotten close to humans, or maybe she just didn't want to be a Ten-Tails sacrifice. I personally feel like she was ordered by the upper heads of the clan to do so, since Momoshiki and Kinshiki were expecting her to report the planet back to the clan, and they never for a second mentioned Ishhiki. And this pretty much means that her betrayal to Ishhiki was like a mission, but by getting close to the humans, she ended up betraying her clan too, which is why Momoshiki arrived on the planet at first place. Now these betrayals didn't stop there, as we had Amado, a Wattle Kara member who backstabbed Jigen after extracting all the necessary knowledge from him. We had Kashin Koji who did the same to Jigen upon the commands of Amado. And then we had the most infamous Deuteragonist Kawaki, who also kind of backstabbed his godfather Naruto by literally killing his own son, then sealing him in another dimension, and finally by rebelling against his beloved ninja world. But no one would have expected the main character himself to betray somebody purposefully, yet the tricky situations and unwanted circumstances have brought him to a point of no going back. Boruto might be on his way to betray Momoshiki, cause the deal that he offered him puts the whole world on stake. Hypothetically speaking, even if Momoshiki is able to do something about Jura, no matter out of pure wit or raw strength, it would still push the world into the worst possible future, and this time the blame would go straight on Boruto's head. People like the elders of Konoha would connect the wrongdoings of Momoshiki to the already defamed picture of the rogue ninja, which would make everyone believe Kawaki more on the lie that he had created about Naruto's death. But the flashforward acts as a testimony to us in this scenario, as it proves that while things would definitely go too far, it would be from Kawaki's end and not Boruto's. So this means that he somehow managed to handle both Jura and Momoshiki, and now the question remains, how exactly? Well, I think it would be better to call Boruto's betrayal plan a revenge strategy from Momoshiki, who had been responsible for making his life this much worse. If you go back the memory lane, you will realize that the focal point of Boruto's life turning worse was always Momoshiki. He gave him the karma which made him a target of Kara first, and then the arch nemesis of Kawaki. His counterpart always believed that him being the Hokage's son had made it difficult for everyone to kill him, and that's why he had wished for a life which would have made things easier for him. as Boruto lost everything that he had ever gained, thanks to Aida's omnipotence manifesting the words of Kawaki. So rationally speaking, if Momoshiki was never there, Boruto would have never become this much of a nuisance to anyone. And now that we are so far into Two Blue Vortex, the backstabbing plot could return, and this time it will be the main character having his long-term revenge with the Otsutsuki who ruined his life. So let's first understand what it was like for Momoshiki before, when he was too excited to steal the identity of Boruto, versus what it is now, after all the disappointment from chapter 80. I will also go through a small possibility which hints at Momoshiki still caring about Boruto, and how he may have already seen him asking for help with his foresight ability. And if that theory comes true, then there may be a 4D chess game going on with both the individuals wanting to betray each other for different reasons. But starting from the start, it was chapter 72 where Momoshiki revealed his entire plan to Boruto and what he aims to do with his body. The Otsutsuki's personal ability of future sight, which for some reasons is not a shinjutsu, made him see a future where Boruto loses everything to omnipotence. Now this twist of getting trapped in a tricky situation is what led to Momoshiki believe that he won't be able to cope the aftermath, so what he might simply do is to surrender his body, as he would be dead either way. Momoshiki made sure to protect his precious vessel just because he knew it's a jackpot once he loses everything. Now there are two crucial takeaways from here that would help us to understand the future narrative. First off, Momoshiki can see the future behind Boruto's back, meaning he doesn't have to update him with what he saw or what's coming for him. He might have done that intentionally while leaking his thoughts back in chapter 75, but why he stopped doing it is a no-brainer. The reason he did it before was to make Boruto fearful for what's coming for him, and right now he doesn't hold any such dominance over his vessel, and he's too depressed to even do that for no reason. The second takeaway would be that while Momoshiki back then was too focused on protecting Boruto just because of the reward involved, right now he only wants him to die since he cannot obtain the control of his body permanently. So maybe the reason Boruto was afraid of the karma resonance is because he knew Momoshiki would do something to get him killed, as the only thing that he wishes right now is to submerge into nothingness. So the hidden knowledge of what's coming, even though it's not as accurate as prescience, and the persistent urge to die would be the two leading factors behind Momoshiki's goals right now. Now here is what I believe may have happened when Boruto took the deal of selling his soul to the monster. He might have already seen it coming, and he's just bluffing to be surprised by this offer. This is because he might not have lost the power to see the future, cause there is no reason for him to lose it, and the fact that he spent so much time in isolation increased the chances for his future sight to have improved, meaning he could now make better moves and decisions for the future. And one such prediction of his which might have come true is Boruto coming to him with a betrayal plan in disguise in order to get rid of Jura. Now I will get to the Momoshiki side of the story in a bit, but first let me explain an undeniable parallel in this secret plan of Boruto. It's pretty much similar to what Sasuke did to Orochimaru in the older days, and the hints are too strong to deny. Orochimaru wanted to take Sasuke's body as his next vessel, but Sasuke had grown strong enough under Orochimaru's training, which made him realize that he no longer needed him. When Orochimaru was weakened by illness, Sasuke made his move and defeated him, instead of letting himself get used. In a nutshell, Sasuke used Orochimaru's power and resources to grow stronger, then turned on him at the critical moment to secure his freedom and pursue his own goal of avenging Itachi. But what makes Momoshiki different than Orochimaru is that there is a chance that he would have already seen the betrayal coming, with or without the future sight. Think of yourself in Momoshiki's shoes. You know your vessel has fought his entire life to get rid of your possession, and now that a huge enemy has emerged, he's offering you his body just to deal with him. Isn't that kind of ironic, cause what he's trying to achieve is world peace, and that would never happen just because you are as big of a danger to him as Jura. There must be something fishy like Boruto planning to just die in Konoha, as he mentioned in an earlier chapter, just so the world would be safe from Momoshiki. And it's not even like the Otsutsuki actually wants to disappear completely. He still sees some hope in Boruto, and I guess the flashback chapter has already hinted at this too. So here are the panels which paint the whole picture for how Momoshiki may have secretly protected Boruto in the past. I will put them in chronological order to make you better understand this. First off, chapter 5 showed us the fight between Boruto, Sasuke and Code. The enemy was having a lot of claw grimes by his side, but still Sasuke managed to destroy one of his eyes, just to get eaten by a grime later, when he went all out against Code. It turned him into a Shinju tree, which later led to the birth of Hidari for plot progression. But at the same time in chapter 15, Boruto said to Kawaki that it was the Code fight, where he felt something similar to Momoshiki's possession. This gets more confusing when you take in consideration the dialogue of Code from chapter 2, where he tells Boruto that if he has forgotten how he fled without doing anything during their previous battle 2 years ago. So what I took from this was that Momoshiki did take over Boruto temporarily in this fight, but instead of killing anyone, he took his body and fled to a safer spot. And in the meantime, Boruto felt a sensation of being alive, yet dying at the same time. Basically what he used to feel whenever the Otsutsuki dominated his consciousness. Now this simply means that Momoshiki still cares about the vessel, or let me put it like this, he cares about the planet Earth, because its chakra fruit is potent enough to grant him godlike abilities, and that is why he didn't let Boruto get eaten by a grime that day, cause it would have been the same as the 10 tails devouring an Otsutsuki, meaning a divine tree would have been formed, and Code would have obtained the chakra. This may be something that he calculated with his mind, or the ability of future sight. So if Boruto himself is offering his body to the monster now, which has gotten far more stronger, then wouldn't it be too irrational of a move from the vessel's side, cause Momoshiki could just spam Uzuhiko to blow up the planet, or he might even fight his way till the end with Kawaki to somehow use his body for 10 tails cultivation. Well, this only proves one thing, that Boruto ain't that dumb to just let Momoshiki control his body, when it's either way going to create trouble for humanity, unless Momoshiki would simply escape the planet after hijacking Boruto, but that's too unlikely to happen. So Boruto might be planning something like obtaining Momoshiki's power and then coming together with Kawaki to kill Jura. But once that's done, he would reveal to Kawaki the deal that he made with the Otsutsuki, and knowing Kawaki, it won't take him a second thought to kill him. Of course, Momoshiki could fight Kawaki himself to assert dominance, but this simple act of revealing the plan to Kawaki would be a strong betrayal in itself. But that may be the cost of saving the timeline for Boruto, as he can't let the world end, no matter whether it's through Jura or Momoshiki. And the freeloader is not dumb. He must have figured this out too, and that's where I believe he would make a generational fumble. Under normal circumstances, Momoshiki and Boruto in the time skip could literally be on par with Kawaki for one solid reason. Boruto realized he has become the strongest shinobi, but still he was no match for Jura. So what he did afterwards was to approach Kawaki and get his limiters unlocked, and if he's actually at maximum, then he must possess at least 80% of Ishhiki's strength. Well, he quickly realized that even that's not enough to defeat Jura. The limiter plan was great, but Jura even surpassed that Kawaki, so the only way to defeat him now must be to bring two individuals together who are the strongest Otsutsukis. In this case, it's no limiter Kawaki and Momoshiki and Boruto. So assuming both of them together would defeat Jura, there is no way they are not at the same level, meaning the prologue battle is almost fair. Now here is how I believe Momoshiki would go down, and you won't believe how much sense it makes. In chapter 56 of part 1, Kawaki proposed the theory of saving Boruto from Momoshiki's possession by implanting a karma on Code. In this way, even if he had to die after Momoshiki takes over, he could still reincarnate through Code, and the fact that he already survived the karma experiment makes it pretty much possible. Now the only thing is that Code already has a white karma, but according to Kawaki it's still worth a try. Well, this setup never paid off in part 1, but now I feel like there is some hope for this to come true. So what if Boruto has already implanted a karma on Code, and that's why he readily offered his body to Momoshiki? This simply means that after Kawaki kills him for a second time, it could mark the erasure of Momoshiki's soul, but at the same time, Boruto would be saved, as he would reincarnate through the body of Code. And the biggest thing about this revival would be that Boruto will be free from Momoshiki's curse forever. This explains why Kawaki doesn't want to kill Boruto in the future. He wants to safely seal him with Daikokuten, meaning the threat of Momoshiki is long gone. And surprisingly, it would only be possible through the same theory that Kawaki himself proposed to save Boruto's life. As for when Boruto gave the karma to Code, well, it could be the time when he was trapped in his Uzuhiko, as he couldn't understand much back in that state. This would also explain the color analogy of their karma seal. Code's karma is white cause it can be painted with any other karma, symbolizing a submission of the body to the race that he respects the most, which are the Otsutsuki. His original dream was to become a vessel of Ishhiki, but if fate ends up making him a vessel for Boruto, I don't see nothing bad in that too, as it would transcend us into the next big arc, after marking an end to some question mark characters. So that's how I believe Momoshiki would get backstabbed by Boruto, and if you are interested in hearing more such stuff, make sure to check out these videos right now. I will see you next time.